NASA has communicated a new approach to Venus following the recent identification of evidence of life on the planet during the 1960s. One of the most basic and trusted ways to search for life in the universe is by detecting unusual or anomalous gases in a planet's atmosphere. To be clear, these gases are not just odd, but are specifically associated with the potential existence of life. The U.S. Space Agency's records indicate that Venus was considered an extremely hostile environment at the time. During that same period, there was competition for space exploration, with Mars emerging as a prime destination, despite its perceived lack of habitability for life. However, the Soviet Union was willing to launch missions to Venus even as Mars became the main focus for exploration. Neil deGrasse Tyson contributed to shedding light on the details of these Soviet missions to Venus, which now require access to previously declassified images captured by the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union not only altered the global geopolitical landscape but also concealed many secrets, particularly due to its well-known propensity for secrecy. This included information related to advanced intelligence agencies and possible extraterrestrial interactions. Before the United States assumed responsibility for space missions, the Soviet Union led the field. Of particular interest to the Soviets was Venus, which they referred to as Venera. Their missions spanned from 1961 to 1983. Unlike the U.S., which focused on the Moon, the Soviets concentrated their resources on exploring Venus. Much of what is known about these missions comes from recently disclosed and declassified information, but determining exactly what the Soviets objectively pursued or whether they achieved their goals remains challenging. The Soviets launched 28 expensive spacecraft for the purpose of exploring Venus. 13 of these spacecraft entered Venus's atmosphere, and 8 of them successfully landed on its surface. The inaugural spacecraft, which was adapted to the atmosphere of Venus, was known as Venera 1, or Sputnik 8 in Western academic circles, and it began its journey on February 12, 1961. This remarkable feat, involving a spacecraft weighing a substantial 1,400 pounds, demonstrated the Soviet Union's mastery of spacecraft technology. Venera 1, in particular, was a marvel, incorporating advanced instruments such as a magnetometer and micrometeorite detectors. Unfortunately, Venera 1 did not meet its expectations, as the probe's initial launch attempt ended disastrously, failing to break free from Earth's orbit. The second official launch of Venera 1 was more successful, passing Venus in May 1961, marking the first space mission to achieve such a milestone. However, the probe finally landed on the infernal surface of Venus at a distance of approximately 62,000 miles, or 100,000 kilometers, but it was unable to transmit any data back to the Soviet Union. The launch of Venera 2 took place on November 12, 1961, with great expectations, and the mission completed its journey on February 27, 1966, approximately 15,000 miles from Venus. However, it encountered a recurring problem. A radiator failure led to overheating, which altered its trajectory and caused the loss of the mission on March 4, 1966. Soviet scientists knew that solving the overheating challenge was critical for the following Venera missions. From Venera 3 through Venera 6, launched in late 1966, the missions provided valuable information about Venus's harsh conditions, allowing the necessary modifications to be made. Venera 3 did not land successfully and crashed onto the planet, representing another failure for the Soviet Union. Despite the challenges posed by the Cold War and financial constraints, the Soviet Space Agency persisted in its determination to succeed. This tenacity eventually paid off, although not in the conventional sense. Venera 4, despite falling victim to the intense heat and dense Venusian atmosphere, gathered valuable data over a 90-minute period before entering the planet's dense atmosphere. These findings included the presence of carbon dioxide in Venus's air and the discovery that Venus lacks a magnetic field. After the modest progress made with Venera 4, astronomers hoped the Soviet Union would turn its attention to the high levels of greenhouse gases on Venus, which make it an unsuitable environment for life. Nonetheless, the Soviet Space Agency remained steadfast in its determination, and the Venera 5 and 6 missions represented substantial progress. These two probes marked a milestone by transmitting valuable data for nearly an hour as they descended through Venus's dense atmosphere. This new information shed light on the chemical composition of the planet, which had previously been known as the Hell Planet. The results confirmed that Venus was inhospitable to life due to its extreme temperature, high atmospheric pressure, and unbreathable atmosphere. With these findings, hopes of discovering life on Venus collapsed for the Soviet Union. However, despite this revelation, interest in Venus took a surprising turn. Through classified documents and photographs from the Venera probes, a change in the focus of their exploration can be identified. Apparently, the Soviet Space Agency ceased its search for life on Venus after the Venera 5 mission and found a new direction, exploring the possible existence of astrobiological beings on the planet. By analyzing the available information, it appears that the Soviets were ahead in their understanding of Venus and its potential to harbor life. Until 2021, our knowledge about Venus and the possibility of long-term human life there remained limited. It is possible the Soviets were waiting for technology to reach a level that could take full advantage of their discoveries. This is evidenced by the successful landings of Venera 7 and Venera 8 on Venus, marking a significant milestone in the history of interplanetary exploration. Despite the challenges encountered, these missions succeeded in capturing images of the Venusian surface, generating enormous enthusiasm among the Soviets. This enthusiasm prompted a shift in their focus from trying to find life on Venus, which seemed unlikely, to exploring the possibility of life on other planets. Neil deGrasse Tyson, a fervent advocate of the search for habitable planets, praised this breakthrough during a conversation with astrobiologist David Greenspun. Tyson speculated that if there was life on Venus and the surface became inhospitable, these life forms might have developed ways to ascend away from the heat, possibly forming floating cities in the upper layers of Venus's atmosphere. Although the idea of floating cities on Venus may seem fanciful, the key point is to assess the planet's potential for hosting life beyond its atmosphere. Scientists are currently focusing on examining exoplanets in their search for extraterrestrial life. The discovery of phosphine on Venus has injected excitement and new possibilities into this effort to find life beyond Earth. However, studying a planet's atmosphere can provide crucial information about its habitability. According to Tyson, the discovery of phosphine has ushered in a new era of astronomical interest in Venus. Although the idea of inhabiting Venus with its poisonous atmosphere is unfeasible, exploring the planet's history and the possibility of encounters with extraterrestrial beings remains a fascinating goal. Declassified photos from the Venera missions hint at potential encounters with living organisms during the Venera 13 mission. Dr. Sanframali, principal investigator and leader of the Laboratory of Photometry and Thermal Radiometry at the Russian Academy of Sciences, has revealed intriguing findings from these missions. Framali disclosed that Venera 13 modified more than just its soft landing on Venus. By re-examining the mission's panoramic images, they identified 3 objects with characteristics of living things. These photographs were confidential and classified for decades, until Russian scientists decided to make the data public again. It is speculated that the Soviets kept these images secret to avoid interference from the US, which had greater financial resources. Historical findings revealed that Venera 13 successfully landed on Venus in the knockout Planitia region of Phoebe Regio. The mission survived for an astonishing 127 minutes and captured high-resolution images of the Venusian surface. Researchers have reanalyzed the images captured by Venera 13's cameras, and Dr. Framali described 3 objects of particular interest. The first object, a disc-shaped creature, appeared to react to changes in heat or pressure. The second object resembled an elongated black figure visible during the first 13 minutes of the mission, but it later changed shape. The most intriguing finding was the appearance of an extraterrestrial scorpion around the 19th minute of the mission, documented in declassified photos. The scorpion, of unknown origin, raises the possibility that it may be alien or astrobiological in nature. The resurgence of these images has renewed interest in space exploration within the Russian space agency, Roscosmos. In this new era of space exploration, Moscow has claimed Venus as its home planet, with plans to send a conclusive mission to explore Venus up close by 2029.